Change is constant and ever evolving. Do you feel like you sometimes can't keep up because everything is changing so rapidly today? Well, you're not alone. You might be leading a team through a change right now, or you're being impacted by something changing around you. Either way, you've come to the right place. Today, I am here to help you manage through change and help your team go through change as well. Change management is something that effective leaders know how to do. Not only to get themselves through change quickly, but also how to help facilitate their team members get through those changes as well. Change is inevitable, Mr. Anderson. First, you gotta understand the reasons for change happening. After that, we can get to the points of how people get through change. So stick around, because this video will give you as a leader practical advice on how to manage through change, how to lead through change, and also give you advice on how to support your team members in the different stages of change. So, what's the reason for the change? Is it strategy, personnel, operations related? Do you understand it? As a leader, you have to understand why things are changing. Once you understand the rationale for the change, it can help you communicate more effectively to your team and those around you, which are also being impacted by the change. Communicating the change is critical for you. Be transparent and honest with why the change is happening and how it impacts your team members. People get through change by understanding what's about to impact them, and more importantly, how it impacts them directly. It makes them feel more secure and engaged throughout the process. So be open with them about what's happening. Also, get your team directly involved in the change process. This could be by involving them directly in focus group discussions, listening to their questions, and addressing their concerns. Also, give them an opportunity to share their ideas and feedback so you can incorporate it in the change. By having your team members directly involved in the change, it makes them have a sense of ownership themselves directly of the change that's about to happen, resulting in the change being more smooth and effective. Another point on change is, please make sure you have a plan. This means writing down the plan and including enough detail on a step-by-step basis on what's happening, by when it's happening, who is involved, and what actions needs to be taken. You can also again involve your team here in being change ambassadors. Make sure they understand the plan in detail, just like you do, so they can help further team members get through the change. With any plan though, you gotta be able to adapt and be flexible, because things don't always go according to your plan. Change is never easy, and there will highly likely be unexpected things popping up where you need to adjust the plan that you put down. So, address the unexpected issues and keep your change on track. But hey, how do you know what to do with your team? Your team will likely go through change at different paces and different stages. Here, I recommend you take a quick look at the Kubler-Ross curve. This is very commonly known as the change curve. It was developed in 1969, so it's getting quite old. But here's the thing, it's based on sound psychological research on how we as human beings react to any change that affects us. So it's still very valid today. And as a leader, it can help you understand what stages you will go through, but more importantly, what stages your team members will also go through. Shock, denial, frustration, depression, experiment, decision, and integration. These are the stages we all have to go through when we're being impacted by change. As I mentioned, everybody must go through it, but everybody does it at different speeds. And this is important for you as a leader to understand. To make it more tangible, let me give you a very down-to-earth example on how these stages would affect us. Imagine you have a favorite supermarket where you buy your groceries every single day. All of a sudden you're heading to the supermarket and it's closed permanently. It's not reopening. You are in shock. That's the first stage, the initial reaction. Immediately after that, you will very likely go into denial and say, well, it can't be that they're closed forever. They must open again. They might just be closed for renovation. When you realize that that's not the case, you start getting frustrated because you have bought your groceries there for years. You've never had any issues, you know the perfect route, how to get there, you know exactly how long it takes. More importantly, you know exactly where every item is in the various different aisles, so you never spend too much time shopping for groceries. The next stage is you might get sad, depressed. You realize that the place is closed and you're immediately thinking that there's nowhere else to buy groceries. So that's the act of going into depression in the change curve. You think there's no way out. This is the bottom of the change curve. This is the lowest that you can be in and the most tough. Be aware that some of your team members might get stuck in this phase or in the phases before. But you as a leader, you gotta get through all of the stages in the change curve. So your next action, once you realize that, hey, I gotta buy groceries, you start going on Google Maps, you start thinking about which other places can I buy groceries, and you find a couple of different places to go. You might know of a different place from previous, where you just selected the current supermarket because it was the closest or the most convenient, or you thought they had everything that you needed. So this is the experiment phase. It's where you're trying to figure out what's the alternatives to solve for your problem. The supermarket is closed, you still need to buy groceries, so you have to find another way. There is no other way around this, so you experiment. In the beginning, this stage might be difficult because you're not familiar with things. You're not familiar with the route, you're not familiar with where the food items are in the aisles, so it takes a little bit longer, which can get a little bit frustrating and you may actually end up backtracking on the change curve again. But stay strong, focus on the experiment and learning along the way. Once you've experimented, you may have tried different supermarkets, grocery stores or the likes. Then comes decision. You decide where you're gonna shop your groceries from here on out. And that leads to the last stage, which is implementing or integrating it into your daily life. And now, this is your new standard. So what was previously standard, that's no longer existing, you have now adapted to a new way, you've adapted to a new grocery store where you can get your groceries, and that's now your plan A. Fast forward a number of months, it might be like you have never shopped anywhere else. So that's just giving you a simple example of the change curve and how we all need to get through it by a simple day-to-day example. But you can use this example with anything impacting in your life, not just work related, but also what bus do you use to go to work? What if that bus is all of a sudden no longer there? What if they change the schedules, timing, routing, anything like that can lead you to go through the change curve. So I use these examples because it's relatable. We all know them, we very likely all been there, or we will get there. What you need to know as a leader is that you need to get through these stages quicker than anyone else in your team. Because once you are through, you can help others get through the stages. You can see change as being difficult, or you can see it as a brand new adventure. New ways of doing things, new ways of learning. Try to always look at change as an adventure for you and for your team. It simply makes it easier to deal with. Now, go help your team manage successfully through change. My name is Glenn Berklev. This is Glihago. Thank you so much for listening. While you're waiting for the next episode, here is a video that I think would benefit you greatly as a leader. So take a look at that one and thank you. See you in the next episode.